G'day everybody, it's your old pal DJ Paine here, and I'm back with a brand new edition of Popcorn Propaganda. Let's hear the theme song. That's right, Popcorn Propaganda is back now in its internet video form. That's right, this is a show where your old pal sees movies and tells you about them and gives you some recommendations or not. Now, I'm very excited to be back with a brand new movie that has just hit cinemas now, if you can get out to the cinemas wherever you are, and it's called Fatima, or it could be pronounced Fatima, or Fatima, or a lot of different ways to pronounce this thing. The problem is I'm not actually Portuguese, so I don't know how to pronounce it properly. So Portuguese people, I'm sorry. This movie is all about the miraculous events that happened in 1917, sometimes known as the Miracle of the Sun, sometimes known as the apparition of Fatima, and it is something that is in the history books, and is very, very big in the Catholic Church. And I'll get into that a little bit as we go on. In fact, I remember being a kid. I was a really weird kid who, I know that's hard to believe, but I was a really weird kid who grew up with two books next to my Bible. I had a Bible and I had two books that I still own. In fact, you know what? Let's see, come with me. Let's go. Come here. Come on. Come inside for a sec. Excuse the mess. Come in here. Yeah. Somewhere in here is the book that I'm looking for. All right, let's go back. All right. Woo. I'm back. I've got the two books right here. The two books that I read religiously as a child. This was my bedtime reading as a small child. And if I remember correctly, in the wonderful Reader's Digest, Mysteries of the Unexplained, in this fantastic book, which was an updating of Strange Stories, Amazing Facts, my all-time favourite book for Reader's Digest, if I remember, in the back of this book, yep, here it is. The Miracle of Fatima. This is from when I was a very small child and would read through this book. This is the first time I ever saw the story about this. The miraculous vision at Fatima. Jacinta, the young girl of 7, her brother Francisco in the centre, and their cousin Lucia, because she became Sister Lucia, right? These are the three children that this miraculous event all takes place around. The movie is a retelling of this historical event through the eyes of the children. This miraculous event that happened in 1917 has been retold many times in books, in films, television, different assets there. And to be honest with you, I haven't really seen a lot of them. I've read some different reports. I've done more reading than watching about this story. So this story, this movie, Fatima, tells very faithfully, in one regard, the facts from the eyes of the child about a miraculous vision that a 10-year-old and her 7-year-old cousins saw in Portugal, Spain in 1917 during World War I.
Look. Who are you? Where do you come from? Who are you talking to? Can't you see her? No! Enough of this joke. Shh.
I come from heaven.
Are you seriously from heaven? Will I go to heaven? I can see her now. What about Jacinta?
Also.
And Francisco? What?
Same, but
What did he say? I'll tell you later.
They saw angels, but the biggest part of their vision was their vision of the Virgin Mary coming to them and telling them different facts, prophecies, things that would happen. Thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, and you can actually see historical photographs and film reels, I know, all the way back to 1917, of this event, took place around this. And it culminated in something known as the miracle of the sun. Now, according to different records that you read, there's a lot of different accounts. We're going back over 100 years ago now to 1917. There's scientific explanations around that. And I don't want to get into all that because this film is a very direct, straightforward telling of the entire experience, especially through the eyes of the 10-year-old Lucia. Now, Lucia ended up becoming Sister Lucia. As she grew older, she became a nun, and she ended up passing away in 2005. She was born in 1907, passed away in 2005 at the age of 97, and she was a nun very early on her entire life. Very sadly, her two cousins, who also saw the apparition in reality, passed away the next year during the Spanish flu, during the pandemic of the Spanish flu. Let me just say, it sort of strays from the facts. If you've read it and looked into it in any different accounts, it sort of strays from the facts at some point. But then again, it is a movie, and to have it just a dry fact thing all the time might be a little bit dull. Let me give you some actual facts around the movie. The movie is directed by Italian director Marco Pontecorvo, who is the son and also other relatives, his family. I'm not Italian, I can't pronounce the names. Pontecorvo is a very well-known name in Italian filmmaking. It's been in there in generations. So he's a cinematographer and a director. Now, he does a pretty good job of this film. I have to sort of give a caveat here. I saw a screener version of this film at 540p. It wasn't in 720. It wasn't in HD. It was far from 4K. It was in 540p. But even in 540p, it's a visual feast. There are some beautiful shots, some absolutely amazing work with a drone camera, and some beautiful pastoral lands we see in Portugal. It's a really gorgeous vision of that. Now, I actually wish I saw it in a higher resolution. I think I would have enjoyed it more at a 4K, especially during the night scenes. There's a lot of night scenes where in that 540p, the noise is really bad in the black. So I wish I got to see it in a better version. But getting to the actual film itself, I have to give props. Everybody is saying the same thing who's seen this film. The young lady who plays the 10-year-old Lucia, her name is, the actress who plays her is Stephanie Gill. It's a movie in English. I need to let you know it's not subtitled. It's an English speaking film. Stephanie Gill is absolutely phenomenal as the 10-year-old Lucia.
Yeah, I understand what it means to long for, to wish for someone's love. So, one day you were feeling lonely and hurt, and you imagined another mother. And I know you did tell your cousins it's all just a game, but little Jacinta, who worships you, believes your game to the point it becomes real.
I saw her.
But now, if you tell everyone it was just a game, you know they'll all be disappointed and angry. And you don't know how to stop this game, do you?
I don't want to fool anyone.
She portrays the emotional journey, or this director's vision of her emotional journey in such a dynamic way. She's really, really good. But the actual structure of the film I felt was a little clunky. It's using that trope of setting it in, something like around the year 2000. We don't actually know when, it could be now, of a priest interviewing, doing an interview, doing research on this story. And he's obviously not a believer. He's much more a man of science, and that's played by Harvey Keitel. It looks like he was given, hey, want to have a holiday in Portugal? Come, you just can read the lines off camera. Not the most convincing performance, but it's only tiny in the film.
Thank you for taking the time to meet me today. I really appreciate it. I couldn't imagine my book completed without you.
I just read and very much appreciated your last work.
Thank you.
I've always been fascinated by opinions opposed to my own.
Well, then we do have something in common. I have so many questions, Sister Lucia. But let me start with the most obvious one. If someone were to say to you now, why what happened all those years ago had to have happened to you of all people, how would you respond?
So you have the structure of the film, that being the opening and a couple of scenes throughout it of Harvey Keitel and the then old Sister Lucia retelling her story. You know what? I would probably actually appreciate that version of the film, or that version of telling the story of an old Sister Lucia retelling and arguing the point about faith and what she believes to someone who's not a believer. That could be really interesting if they flesh that side of the story out. But that's just me. So, given that clunky storytelling side that doesn't really pay off to the overall story, we are really just talking about a film that retells the story from 1917. I need to say, I am a Protestant. I am a Baptist boy through and through, Reformed Baptist. And so my, going into this journey around this very Catholic film, especially a story that is, really based around this vision of the Virgin Mary coming and giving these tales and prophecies and visions to these children, really rubs my faith the wrong way. I don't appreciate the actual story that they're trying to tell. The actual sentiment of the film or overall story of the film is a little bit clouded in the fact that it is told from the children's, vision, and it doesn't leave any room for doubt because we're seeing what the kids see.
Hello, my children. Thank you for coming to see me.
Can you please tell us who you are? These people want to know.
Here she is.
I am the Lady of the Rosary. I am going to lead them to my Son through peace and love.
She says she's the Lady of the Rosary.
Rosary is now 10 cents.
She will lead us to her Son through peace and love.
They must not insult the Lord, who is already far too insulted. You have to pray.
That's me being pernickety here. I tell you what's really great about the film is that if you have Catholic family and friends, or a loved one who's a Catholic, and you want to know a little bit more of their journey or a little bit more of what they believe, I think this might be actually interesting to watch with them and then have a discussion about faith afterwards. Have a discussion whether they believe that those miracles can happen and why. What is the message that the Virgin Mary is telling them, and why is that important? Is it important? Is it even biblical? That's my question, and that's my takeaway from the film. I feel that the film is a little bit boring, to be honest with you. It's a little bit slow in places. When it's good, It's really good. The dynamic around the government wanting to shut down the church and stop the story of the miraculous spreading is really interesting, especially in the backdrop of World War I in the background. It's quite, that's quite an interesting part. But even that isn't the main thrust of the story. Listen, in the end, if you are interested in religious films, Catholic films, or stories around this type of phenomenon, apparitions and visions of the Virgin Mary, you're going to love this film. But one more little caveat here. If you're actually someone who really knows a lot about Sister Lucia and what she actually believes and said, I don't know if you're going to like this film. The problem being is that they're giving a really romanticized version of Lucia's prophecies, visions, and everything from the from the Virgin Mary. If you actually read her real life accounts and her interviews, not as romanticized as this. It's a little bit, rose-colored glasses. I'll leave it there. So in the end, I'm a little bit mixed on this film. I'm a little bit mixed to recommend it. I think I've given you enough information to go into this film with your eyes wide open and knowing what it's all about. Overall, I think it's a pass. I give this film, just for the camera work alone and for the work of the young actress who is absolutely amazing, I give it about a 60%. It's a pass, but not great. I wouldn't go back to it, and I'm recommending it with a lot of asterisks, if you know what I mean. So that's the film Fatima. It's out now, or Fatima, or Fatima, however you pronounce it properly. Again, I'm not Portuguese. I apologise. Just want to give a big shout out to Heritage Films, otherwise known as Movies Change People. Angela and the team there done a fantastic job of providing me this film for the review. Thanks, guys. There you go. It's DJ for your very first popcorn propaganda back here on the internet. I'll see you at the movies.